Happy to be with you, and wonderful to be in Amsterdam again. Hare Krishna. You have to pretend like you can't smell the prasadam right now. Concentrate. ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो कृष्णपदाय कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती गौरांगी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत श्रीवासदि हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम हरे राम राम हरे श्री हरि राम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 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 All right, Hare Krishna everyone, so welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Wonderful to see everyone again. So today, let us read something from the Bhagavad Gita. So as we know, Bhagavad Gita was given to us by Krishna, one of Krishna's most wonderful gifts. One time Srila Prabhupada was in his rooms and in the middle of the night, he began ringing the bell very, very frantically. So the servant came running into the room. So he said, Srila Prabhupada, what can I do? What can I do? Prabhupada said, come in, sit down. So he was thinking, Prabhupada rang the bell so loudly that it must be something very serious. So then Prabhupada looked at him. So he was waiting to see what was the problem. And then Prabhupada picked up the Bhagavad Gita and gave it to him. And he said, read this one book and you will become perfect. Confirmed. So he took the book. I said, yes, Prabhupada. So, is there something I can do? Is there something? Prabhupada said, no, I just wanted to tell you that. Now you can go back to sleep. So he was amazed. Prabhupada just called him in the middle of the night just to tell him that one thing. That if you read this one book and you understand it, you will become perfect. So many books. The Vedas contain so many different books. But it's explained, Sarvapa Nishado Gavo Dugda Go Palanandana Parthavatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gitam Ritam Mahat. That if you compare all of the Vedas to a cow, then there is one person who is the Dugda. He is milking the cow. And then there is a calf which is drinking the milk from the cow. And then what is the actual milk which is coming from the cow? Dugdam Gitam Ritam Mahat. The Gita Amrita, the nectar of the Bhagavad Gita is considered the milk. So why does a cow exist? A cow exists to give milk only. So Krishna is bringing the milk out from the cow of all the Vedas and he's presenting it to the world as the Bhagavad Gita. And who is drinking it? The Vatsa, Arjuna. And therefore, we also have the opportunity to drink the milk of the Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, many different subject matters are given in the Bhagavad Gita, but the essence is given right in the middle of the Gita. So the middle chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is known as Raja Vidya Guhya Yoga. Raja Vidya Guhya Yoga means the most confidential king of all knowledge. So the Bhagavad Gita in entirety is the essence, but then the 9th chapter Krishna is saying this knowledge is the king of all knowledge. So a king conquers. That's what a king does. In UK we have King Charles. I don't know if he's conquered anything yet. But generally, a king is meant to conquer. So actually, devotees are actually known as the real kings. Because they are trying to conquer the hardest thing. To conquer land is easy business. To conquer someone else, another army, is relatively easy business. But to conquer one's own mind, to conquer over one's own ignorance, to conquer over one's own lust, and most importantly, to conquer the heart of Krishna, that means you are a real king. Therefore, the great devotees are known as Maharaj, actually. Some of them. They are, because sometimes people wonder, why do we call devotees Maharaj? The idea is that either they have conquered or they are on the conquest. Therefore, this is the greatest king. Once a king, he came to a forest and he came in the hermitage, in the hut of a sage. So this king came into the hermitage and he was looking around, there was nothing in there, and this sadhu was just meditating. So finally the sadhu opened his eyes and the king looked at him and said, "Who are you?" And the sadhu looked at him and said, "I am a king." The king looked at him and said, "You're a king? What kind of king are you?" And then the king looked at the sadhu and he said, "If you're a king, then where are all of your armies?" And the sadhu looked back at him. Keshava karunika surida sarvadehinam ajata shatrava shanta sadhava sadhu bhushana. He looked at the king and he said, "My armies, ajata shatru, I don't have any enemies, and therefore I don't need any armies." Imagine you could say that in your life. I have no enemies in my life. I don't look upon anyone with anger. I don't look upon anyone as a threat. I don't hold any bitterness or grudge towards anyone. Imagine if you could do that. Your life would be amazing. So he looked at the king and he said, "I don't need any armies. I don't have any enemies." The king looked at him and he said, "If you are a king, where is your treasury? Where is your wealth?" And the sage looked back at him and said, "Santushta satatam yogi yatatma drita nishchaya." He said, "I'm santushta. I'm satisfied. My wealth is that I'm satisfied. The richest person is not the one who has the most. The richest person is the one who needs the least." And therefore he looked at the king and he said, "This is my wealth. I don't need anything." The king looked at him and he said, "If you're a king, then where is your land? Where are you living?" And the sage looked back at him and said, "Ihayasya harendasya karmana manasagira Nikala Shvapyavastasu Jivan Mukta Uchate. The sage looked back at me and he said, my kingdom, because I have engaged my mind, body and words in the service of the Supreme Lord, I am in this world, but Jivan Mukta, I am living in another world. So my kingdom is in another world. You can't see that world. That world is beyond this material realm. And like this, every time the sage gave the king an answer, the king realized that everything I'm so proud about, I'm proud about my armies, I'm proud about my treasury, I'm proud about my kingdom, but all of this shows that internally I am very, very poor. So who is the real king? The king is the sage. And so Krishna says this is Raja Vidya. Because if you understand this knowledge, then you become a real king. Because you conquer over the hardest thing. People have so much, but they're struggling with their own mind. Therefore, this is why we have to do spiritual practice, isn't it? Just like I was mentioning to this afternoon, one person came to the Buddha, and then he asked, you are meditating so many hours, what do you get from it? And the Buddha looked back at him and said, I don't get anything. He said, you don't get anything? Then why are you doing it? The Buddha looked at him and he said, I don't get anything, but I lose my fear. I lose all of my doubts. I lose all of my insecurity. And I lose all of my anxiety. And then he realized, my God, the whole world is trying to get things. But where are those wise people who have lost all of this thing which is holding us back? And then this person realized he is wise. So like this, Krishna is saying that this is the king of all knowledge. So we have to study it. We can't be lazy. Siddhanta boliye chite na kara alash. Isn't it? Alash means to be lazy. So Kaviraj Goswami says, when it comes to understanding these teachings, don't be lazy. Be little attentive. Be little determined. And reflect on it deeply. And then you will see that your whole life changes because you become wealthy internally. So now, in the 9th chapter of the Gita, Krishna will explain why this is the Raja Vidya. In the 2nd verse of the 9th chapter, Krishna says, Raja Vidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idamutamam Pratyakshavakamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartumavyayam. Krishna will say, why is this the king of all knowledge, the Raja Vidya? Because his Guyam is very, very confidential. Why is this knowledge confidential? Bhagavad Gita is the 3rd biggest distributed book in the whole world. First one is the Bible, second one is Harry Potter. So it's the 3rd biggest circulated book in the whole world. How you can say it's confidential? It's available everywhere on the internet. Available. Why is it confidential? Because you can't understand it simply by reading it yourself. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. You have to learn it from someone who has realized it. Otherwise, simply by reading, you will get some idea. But if you actually want to understand Veda, if you actually want to understand the Bhagavad Gita, then you have to hear from the mouth of someone who has realized that knowledge. And therefore, in that sense, Krishna is saying very confidential, because openly available, but not easily understood, because it must be learned from another devotee. Therefore, we come together and learn from each other. Then Krishna says, Pratyaksha vagamam dharmyam. This is the king of all knowledge because you can directly prove it. You can prove it. You can prove that Krishna exists. You can prove that what the Bhagavad Gita is teaching is correct. Bhagavad Gita is not a religion, it's a spiritual science. And therefore, what Krishna is basically saying in this word is this is the best education, because if you live it, if you apply it, if you actually do something with this knowledge, then you will perceive Krishna in your life. Krishna will come and act in your life. Krishna will reciprocate with you. You won't just have to believe in Krishna, but you will have the opportunity to see Krishna in your life. Krishna will speak to you. Krishna will answer your questions. Krishna will remove your doubts. Krishna will help you to make decisions. Krishna will tell you what to do in any difficult situation. Everything is possible. You can learn to talk to Krishna. Krishna is saying, Pratyaksha, you can see me directly. Then Krishna says in this verse, Susukham, by practicing this knowledge, you will become very, very happy. It will make you joyful. It will make you so satisfied that you don't have to run around looking for so many more things in this world anymore. Because you will actually fulfill the deepest desire you have, which is the desire to experience love. You can do whatever you want to do in life, but until and unless you experience real love, you will still be looking for something more. But Krishna is saying when you practice this knowledge, then you will experience love. And then you won't have to look for anything else in your life. And everything is just all good, all perfect. And then Krishna says, Pavitram. This knowledge is the king of all knowledge because it's completely pure. The problem with the world today is that there's no pure knowledge. So why is the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita pure? We can say for 4 reasons. The first reason that the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is pure is because it's coming from a pure source. Krishna is completely pure. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Krishna is completely untouched by anything material. And therefore Krishna is completely pure. And if Krishna is completely pure, then it means anything which comes from a pure person must be pure. But because we hear information which comes from impure people, then that information necessarily is impure, because the source is impure. So the first reason that this knowledge is pavitram is because it comes from a pure source. The second reason that this knowledge is pure is because this knowledge is always true in all times, places, and circumstances. Pure knowledge never needs to change. Impure knowledge always has to change. And therefore, one person wrote a book and it became a New York Times bestseller. And the amazing thing is he wrote a part 2 to his book explaining that everything he wrote in the first book was wrong. And that one also became a bestseller. In other words, pure knowledge comes from a pure source, and it's always true. Whatever Krishna said 5,000 years ago in the Bhagavad Gita is still true today, because tattva means a truth which is always true in all times, places, and circumstances. The third reason why this is pavitram, the most pure knowledge, is because there's no motivation behind it. Most knowledge in this world people give you, but there's some motivation behind it, why they're giving it to you, or what they want you to do with that knowledge. They have some agenda. Therefore, you can't trust the news. Because you go to different channels in the media, and they all tell the same news in a different way, because they all have a different motivation. But spiritual knowledge, there's no motivation, it's pure, it's only for someone's good. And therefore, this knowledge is pavitram. And the final reason why Krishna says the king of knowledge, the Bhagavad Gita, is pavitram, pure, is because it makes you into a pure devotee. You know that something is pure if it purifies the person who comes in contact with it. And therefore, the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, if you absorb it, then you will become pure. Many people are practicing religion, but very, very few people are practicing pure religion, pure spirituality, pure devotion. This, Krishna says, is very, very rare. There are many people practicing, but most of us, if we're honest, we're trying to cheat Krishna. Isn't it? Yes. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
We're trying to cheat Krishna. Because we're trying to get something, but we don't want to give. We're claiming to be something, but in the background we are something else. Therefore, Krishna says, no, you have to become, don't try to cheat. Krishna says, Dyutam chalayatam asmi. No one can cheat better than me. So don't try and cheat Krishna. One man, he went to the top of the mountain and he shouted out, he said, if there's a God, say something. So then a voice came, yes, my son, I am here. He said, God, for you, how much is millions of pounds? God said, for me, millions of pounds is just a few cents. He said, God, for you, how much is millions of years? And for me, millions of years is just like a few moments. So he looked up at God, he said, God, can you give me a few cents? God said, in a few moments. I can't cheat God. We think we'll cheat God, but you can't, because God is always one step ahead. So therefore, Krishna says that only when our devotion becomes pure, Savai pumsham paro dharmo yado bhakti radhok sajai ahai tuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Only when you practice a type of devotion in which you have no motivation, when you don't do something because of what you'll get, only when you practice a type of devotion which is unmotivated and uninterrupted, then Atma Suprasidati, then you will feel satisfaction in the heart. And so, most people, most of us are practicing what we call Mishra Bhakti. Mishra Bhakti means mixed devotion, not pure devotion. Now we may think about pure devotion and we may think I'm very, very far away from pure devotion. When will I become a pure devotee? Put your hand up if you think in this life you will become a pure devotee. Do you have the faith? Put your hands up. 2. Only 2! The rest don't have faith in this life. I won't do it. What gives you the faith that you will become a pure devotee?
I believe that if you have constant efforts to something, it turns up. And like you said, if you believe in Krishna, he will take care. So surrender and like.
So you have a great hope because Krishna is very kind.
Yeah, and the faith.
And if you try, Krishna will reciprocate with you.
Definitely. No doubt.
Sir, why do you have faith that you will become a pure devotee?
Because of Jagannath.
Because of Jagannath.
And if you serve,
specifically Jagannath Mahaprasad.
if you serve the devotees, you're definitely going to be on the path to become a devotee.
Not only is Krishna very, very kind, but the devotees are very, very kind. And therefore, it's said that the devotees are even more kind than Krishna. And by their grace, by their prayer, by their instructions, we can also make it something that is very, very far away. Yes, purity is sometimes feeling like it's very, very far away. But let me share with you a few things about purity. The first thing is that you do have some purity. It's not that either we are a pure devotee or we don't have any purity at all. We can have some purity. And if we see the change in ourselves since we started Krishna consciousness, there's a great change. We have changed. We may not be perfect, we may not be completely pure, but if we look at our life, where we were and where we are, definitely we have become purified. Definitely we have progressed. Definitely we are moving forward towards pure devotion. And so like this, if we stay in the process, if we practice with sincerity, with attention, if we make a sacrifice, if we take a risk, then what will happen is that the process will act in a deeper and deeper way, and Krishna will reciprocate more and more. And the final thing to realize about purity is that ultimately purity is in Krishna's hands. Because Krishna is in your heart. And Krishna says that when I see the sincere desire, then I cleanse the heart. Ridantaso hiyabadrani vidunodi suratsadam. Krishna says, I will cleanse all the material desires. So when we look at ourselves and we think, I can't overcome all my material desires, too hard. You don't have to. Krishna will do that. But it means that we have to be attentive, we have to be enthusiastic, we have to be consistent. So like this, Krishna is explaining, this is all the king of education, the king of knowledge. And we have the opportunity to become a pure devotee. We have so many goals, we have so many aspirations, we have so many plans for our life. But the real plan is, how can I become a pure devotee? Because every other plan, ultimately, it won't mean that much at the end of the day. But if you get this plan right, and you put effort and energy into this plan, then it will be for your eternal benefit. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay, before I continue on, let me just stop here and see whether anyone may have any questions or anything you would like to ask. Yes.
It seems like as time is progressing and we're moving forward on the path, that we see also more and more dirt within our own hearts. How do we keep faithful that that is still progress?
So as we move forward in devotional life, then we see more and more dirt. And then we may doubt, am I actually progressing? Am I becoming worse? So like that. Yes, anartha nivriti means to clean the heart. And when you clean a room and you begin dusting, then we know the first step in removing the dust is first the dust has to come to the surface. And therefore, to become aware of our anarthas. When I came to the Hare Krishna movement, like every other class was about lust, lust, lust. And after some days I thought, what's up with these people? You know, like just talking about lust and attraction and this and that. It's okay, it's not that bad. We're not even aware of the anarthas that are in our heart. We're not even aware often how envious we are of other people. We're not aware of how attached we are to things. We hear about all these things and we think, no. But later on we realize, no, my God, I've got so many things. So like this, definitely as you progress in devotional life, we become more and more aware of our anarthas. So how do we stay focused? How do we stay positive? How do we stay progressive on the path? Well, yes, we see anarthas, but as I was mentioning, you also see how you have changed in many positive ways. Yes, many weaknesses are being revealed, but at the same time, you see how you develop some strength in your spiritual life. You respond to situations in different ways. Your desires and what excites you in your life has changed. The things that you want to do when you have spare time have changed. The friends and the people you want to speak to and the things you want to watch and hear and listen to has changed. And therefore you can see that there is a growing attraction. There's a growing attraction for Krishna consciousness. And that can give you the faith that, yes, the process is working. And so we shouldn't only look at how far we are from the goal, but we also should look at how far we've come from where we were. And imagine if in the little amount of effort we've given to Krishna consciousness, how much we've changed. And then we begin to think, if I give more effort, if I give more of my energy and time, then how far I'll be along the path. It's amazing for material things. Look how much effort people put in. To get a good job, they're willing to go across the world and relocate and turn their life upside down practically. To give their child a good education, you're willing to work endless hours and sacrifice so much money. Imagine how much we've sacrificed for material achievements in this world. And then we have to ask ourselves, how much did I sacrifice for spiritual achievement? And it's amazing, we see that relatively our investment in spiritual things is very small compared to the material things. But just see, even with that small investment, how much effect it's had on your life. So now imagine if you would increase that and give just as much, or even 50%, or even 25% of what you would sacrifice for material things. If you gave that for spiritual life, where would we be? So, like this, we gain faith that is powerful. This process is powerful. The other thing that gives us faith is when we associate with individuals, devotees in whom the process is working. Even when we feel the process is working, but maybe slowly within us, when we're surrounded by individuals who are transforming, who are experiencing, who are relishing Krishna consciousness, then it gives us the faith that definitely this works, but I have to apply myself as this person has applied themselves. Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Krishna is self-happy. Krishna is self-content. He has everything within himself. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda. At the same time, Krishna does not need anything external for happiness, content. At the same time, Krishna is extremely delighted when seeing a devotee. For example, whether it is Ramachandra meeting Hanuman or Srila Prabhupada, Krishna is extremely happy and excited. So, how do both of these qualities simultaneously exist?
Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnam rita swadhanam. Anand, happiness, is like a ever-increasing ocean. And pratipadam, at every step, purna amrita swadhanam, there is newer and newer taste. Because spiritual love, brain, is unlimited. There are unlimited varieties. And therefore, even though Krishna is satisfied, Krishna is eager to taste ever more in the ocean of prema because it's always increasing. And therefore, spiritual life never becomes dry, it never becomes stagnant, it's always increasing. It's said that when Krishna sees Srimati Radharani, then his appreciation for her is growing. And when she sees his appreciation, her appreciation for him is growing. And like that, constantly increasing. And so in the spiritual world, it's said that Radharani never cooks the same thing for Krishna twice. Ever new. Because it's unlimited. So our concept is always of a limit. In the spiritual world, there's unlimited possibilities. And therefore, Krishna wants to enjoy, he wants to relish. And when someone comes, he's conquered by the offering. Yes.
Hare Krishna Swami, I have two questions. One is, you mentioned that when there are decisions to be made, right, Krishna will guide you, right? Like you will hear his voice. So how do you know? In my personal life, I've seen that when I have to make decisions, there's so many voices and you're not able to make a decision. So how do you recognize that it's Krishna speaking and this is the right choice for you, where he wants you to go? Because there's always dilemma.
So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains what is the qualification to hear him. Krishna is in your heart. Just think about that for a second. Krishna is right there. So Krishna says, I speak to you. But what is the qualification to hear him? Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahita. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached. In other words, one who has conquered their mind, one who has quietened the mind, one who has purified the mind, one whose mind has become their best friend, that person has a clear line of communication with the Paramatma. But the reason why we can't hear Krishna's voice is because the voice of the mind is too loud. And therefore it's all mixed up. And therefore Krishna is speaking to us at every moment, but the problem is we can't hear because we've allowed our mind to become too much infected by material attachments. Therefore, the more and more you purify your mind, the more and more you'll be able to hear Krishna. And therefore it's recommended that until you've purified your mind, then don't listen to the inner voice. Always get it confirmed by a devotee. always ask a spiritual teacher, because they will be able to confirm whether it's actually Krishna or whether it's your mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how do you purify the mind? So is it meditation? Is it Krishna chanting? What exactly? How do you purify so that you're able to hear and you know for sure that okay, maybe it's
So
the
that's an
divine.
open secret.
Sorry?
That's an open secret. A, B, C, D. Associate with devotees. Books. Read the books. Purify your intelligence. Chant. See. Chant the mantra every day. And eat diet. Offer your food to Krishna and eat prasadam. If you simply do those 4 things, it's not rocket science. But the problem is we are not doing it with attention, and we're not doing it with intention, and we're not doing it with consistency. So we want something very great. I began the lecture by saying the greatest conquest is to conquer your mind. So we want to achieve the greatest thing in the world, to conquer the mind, but we want to do it with very less effort. So that doesn't make sense. For anything great you want to achieve in this world, you realize I have to make a big investment. So this is the dichotomy. We want we want to conquer our mind. We want to experience pure love. We want to find complete inner satisfaction. But 6 a.m. is too early. Don't be fanatic. The amazing thing is, the people who want to earn millions of dollars, they're up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But the people who want to conquer their mind, they're still sleeping. So that doesn't make sense. So, therefore I said, we're all trying to cheat Krishna, because we want something from Krishna that's so valuable. But we don't want to give anything. That's right.
The second question I have is about what you said about the material things, right? So you said that we are, of course, like we kind of crave for material things, and then sometimes we want to give up those things, and we are not able to, and then Krishna will help us do that eventually. So then I was wondering, is it wrong to to ask for material things while we are in this world, while we are living in a family life? So, for example, when you crave for material things, you want the best for your child, or you want financial independence so that you can do good service, good deeds. So, is it wrong then? Because there's dichotomy, right? At one end, we are saying that
It's not wrong, but why do you want it? Do you want it because you think it will make you happy? Then you're just going to frustrate yourself even more. See, what does it mean to be a spiritual parent, for example? I want my child to have a good education. Fine. I want my child to get married to someone nice. Fine. Are you in as much anxiety that my child should go back home, back to Godhead? Are you in as much anxiety that they should get a good job as you are that they must go back to Godhead in this life? Then you're a spiritual parent. So the problem is not that you want material things. The problem is that you prioritize that and think that that's what's actually going to bring happiness. That's what's going to frustrate you. So where is that parent who can say, as much anxiety I'm in that they should get a good education, I'm in as much, if not more, anxiety that somehow or other they should understand the ultimate goal of life and go back to their real home. then you're a spiritual parent. So the problem is not having material things. Yeah, we live in the world. Why not? Have material things. But what's it going to do? You're just going to use it for Krishna. If you're going to use it for Krishna, great. But that in and of itself, back to square one. All material benedictions bring you back to square one. There was a mother, father, and a child, and the genie came and said, any wish you want. So the father said, I'll go first. He was having a hard time in family life, so he said, I want to go to heaven. I want to get out of here. So boom, he was up there in heaven. So he thought, my God, this is great. I'm in heaven. No problems, no hassles. And the genie went to the wife, said, what do you want? She said, I want to go to heaven too. And he was up there having a good time. Liberated from everyone. Boom, his wife came, oh no. He thought, anyway, at least we're in heaven. And then the genie came to the child and said, what do you want? He said, I just want my parents back. Boom, they fell from heaven. And the net result of all the benedictions, back to square one. So therefore, we're not saying you have to be poor, we're not saying you have to be, you can have it, it's okay. But you can't invest your hopes here, otherwise you will be frustrated. These are the simple truths. We have to understand it deeply.
So is it right to summarize it like this, that it's okay to have material possessions as long as Krishna is at the center of your life? Right? Is it right summary?
Anashaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. You have to understand what is the Krishna sambandha. In everything in your life has a Krishna sambandha. It has a connection with Krishna. And if everything in your life has that Krishna sambandha, then Swami says you're perfect. So yes, you can have anything, but always understand what is the Krishna sambandha. Then it's fine. Alright? Yes.
Is Krishna the voice of your conscience?
Is Krishna the voice of your conscience? Yes, it's explained that Krishna is within our heart, and Krishna is also giving us messages. Krishna is inspiring us. Sometimes we call it intuition, a voice. And sometimes we're doing something which we shouldn't be doing, and there's a voice. So yes, sometimes that can be Krishna. Sometimes, I guess people define the conscience in a different way. Sometimes it could just be the intelligence. We're doing something, we're emotionally moved to do something, but our intelligence is telling us this is not the right thing. So sometimes it could be your intelligence. Sometimes it could be also Krishna inspiring you, telling you, no, this is not the right thing to do. So it could be either.
Maharaj, you mentioned about cheating Krishna, like you cannot cheat Krishna, you cannot cheat God. So one thought came into my mind: how is it different from cheating ourselves? I mean, is there any difference? For example, you tend to do something although you don't like it internally, and then later you regret it. So that's kind of cheating ourselves, which you don't like to do, but you still did it under the influence of emotions or any other thing. How to is there any difference in that?
it's not so much cheating oneself, but it's that we are still, as Krishna says in the Gita, inflicted with lust. Arjuna asked Krishna, why is it that even when I know the right thing to do, still I keep doing the wrong thing? And Krishna says, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, because you're inflicted with lust. And so, oftentimes we are cheating ourselves because the senses and the mind have become too strong. And therefore we're acting against our self-interest. It's amazing that we just don't have the power to act on our intelligence. People will pick up a cigarette packet and on the cigarette packet it will tell you, smoking kills. And in the very next moment, someone will smoke a cigarette. That means that they're cheating themselves in the sense that their senses and mind have become so strong that they can't act according to their good intelligence. They can't exercise their free will appropriately. So yes, this is the whole process.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. When it comes to getting a blessings from a pure devotee and we can progress, like take for suppose the example from Narada Muni, he fervored the Bhakti Vedantas, so he became a pure devotee, right? Which he included that part in just 2 or 3 shlokas, like I got a chance to serve the Bhakti Vedantas and I became a pure devotee. After which elaborately he written like the ultimate way to get rid of the material miseries is to hear the transcendental glories of the Lord. It is the only way where we can become pure. It is the only way where you can become rid of all miseries, everything. So the blessings he got from the Bhakti Vedantis is the physical service he did to them, or is it with the rapt attention he heard the instructions from him? For suppose I came to you, I am serving you. Will you be pleased with my physical service, or I am listening to your instructions carefully and I am trying to follow it? Will you be pleased with the kind of like the Vapo Seva? Sorry, Vani Seva.
See, all of these aspects of devotional service are powerful. But it depends on how receptive someone is. So because Narad Muni was so receptive, just by eating the remnants and when that entered him with already his purity and his receptivity, it immediately awoken this Krishna consciousness. So it's possible. Just therefore 5 potent forms of devotional service are there, and it's mentioned Sakala sadhana shreshta e pancha anga Krishna prema janmaya e panchira alpa sangha. That even alpa sangha, a small bit of association with these forms of devotional service, Krishna prema janmaya, love for Krishna will awaken. But one must be receptive. So therefore, just prasadam is enough. Just hearing is enough. Just one holy name is enough. Eka Krishna nama kare sarve papa kshoy. One name of Krishna can remove everything. But the point is, are we receptive? Therefore, what we are doing in our spiritual life is we're doing all of them together. Therefore we pray, Seyan Amrita Pao. Now take this prasadam. But don't just take the prasadam. Radha Krishna Guna Gao. And also chant the glories of Radha and Krishna. And not just that, Premedako Chaitanya Nitai, and raise your hands and pray for the mercy of Gaura Nitai. In other words, we're doing all of them because we need all the help we can get. But for a great soul, even one thing is enough. It's powerful. Bhakta pada dhuli aur bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta avashesh teen mahabal. There are three things which are very powerful in this world. Bhakta pada dhuli, the dust from the feet of a devotee. Bhakta pada jal, the abhishek from the feet of a devotee. Bhakta bhukta, and the remnants of the food. Teena mahabal, very powerful. But the point is, are we receptive? If we're not receptive, then we'll take it, but we need to do many other things also. So for Narad Muni, one thing is enough. That's it. But for us, we may have to do much more.
So that helps us, the environment contact too for devotional service, or it will also changes my free will. What is happening is, like, we serve the devotees, we are getting the sukruti, we are getting an opportunity to serve more devotees, where I am getting more sukruti, I am getting an opportunity to serve more and more devotees, but the free will is not getting changed. So that free will also slowly changes in this process,
That's
or
up to you.
that independent will.
That's up to you.
Yeah,
No one can change your free will for you. That's why it's called free will.
I'm not able to live that free will. How to live it? It might be the association of the sadhus, association of the Bhagavatam. That free will is so strong in my heart that I'm not able to live it. How should
Because we don't want to. That's the point. We don't want to. Free will means you have the opportunity to make the decision. But actually, we don't want to make the decision. But then you will sit here and say, no, but Krishna, I want you. But why are you not letting me make the decision? But deep within us, we don't. Just like one man fell off a cliff, and so then he was falling, and he held on to a branch. So he looked down, there was a big fall. So the branch was slowly breaking. So he thought, my time is going. And then he called up and he said, God, if you're out there, please save me. So then a voice came from the top. My son, I'm here. Just let go and I will catch you. And then he looked up and he said, is there anyone else there who can help? So are you ready? No, I want to use my free will, Krishna. Change my free will. Just do it, Krishna saying it's yours anyway. No, I want to do it, but can you do it for me? No, you have to do it. When you wake up in the morning, you have the choice. Where do you want to put your time? Where do you want to put your energy? And where do you want to put your love? You have the choice. And if you put the choice in a material thing, you can't say it's because Krishna didn't convince me enough. Therefore, Prabhupada said, when they asked him, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? Prabhupada looked at the devotee and he said, in a moment. Are you not reading the books? The devotee said, well, in a moment? Prabhupada said, in a moment. Because free will just takes a moment. In the Ramayana, that verse is there. Sakrideva prapannoyas tavasmiti chayachate apayam sarvada tasmai dadame tat vratam mama. Ram says, Even if Ravan was to come to me after everything he's done, and if he was to put his hands up once and say, from this day on, I'm yours, then Ram said, I would even forgive him. And I would give him all fearlessness. Just one moment, that's all it takes. But we can't, it's hard to let go and rely on Krishna. Material desires are strong. Therefore we have to try harder. What do you think? Difficult. But have you changed since who you were 5 years ago?
Yeah.
So it's improving. Go ahead. Increase the speed.
While chasing behind these materialistic things, we come up with so much emotion. Sometimes anger, sometimes some emotions. We do lot many good things, bad things. So it's adding to our karma. So the result of karma we are going to face in this life, or how it's works.
Yes, some karma will come to you in this life. There's different types of karma. Instant karma, delayed karma, individual karma, collective karma. So whenever you perform any actions, if you do it with a material motivation in mind, there will be a reaction. And that reaction, either it will be immediately experienced or it may be a delayed reaction. And so everything catches up eventually. Therefore, Krishna says, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. The only safe thing you can do is do your duty, and then ma phaleshu kadachana, the phala, the fruits dedicated to Krishna. Otherwise you'll get implicated in the karmic cycle, and then you have to come all over again. I don't know. Do you want to come all over again? To do it all over again? Be a kid again? Go to school again? Pass your exams again? Deal with your boss again? Deal with relationship strains again? Deal with the temporary nature of the world again? Again and again? Mrityu samsaravartmani. I don't know. Do we really want to do it? So it's all up to us. We have to realize it's a golden opportunity. We don't actually understand. You know, like when they run a marathon, it goes on for miles and miles, and then right at the end of the marathon, they come into the stadium, and then they ring the bell, and it's the final lap. We don't understand that we are all on the final lap. Millions of lifetimes it may have taken to come to this point. Now you have the opportunity in the final lap to say, I'm going to take it serious and run to the finish line. But can you imagine after running a whole marathon, if it comes to the final lap and then someone gives up? God, no. After all that, gave up right at the end. So we have an incredible opportunity. So, yeah, don't get involved again, the karmic cycle. It's not a nice, the material world is not a nice place. This is not a nice place.
So what we have to do to break the cycle?
Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayisha namasucha. Krishna says you have to let go. You have to give your heart to me. In our life, we gave our hearts to so many people. In our life, we gave our hearts to so many things. In our life, we put faith in so many different arrangements. Now you have to give your heart and put your faith in Krishna. But for most of us, Krishna is part of our life, which is nice. It's wonderful. But when you enter into Krishna's life, when Krishna becomes the center of your life, no more karma. Then you're completely out of the material world. Up until that point, you're implicated.
How do we, pursue a spiritual path while dealing with the contradictions of a corporate life? Spirituality becomes a weekend pursuit. As soon as Monday comes, you're constantly dealing with all kinds of contradictions. How does one? I'm not saying it's not possible, but there is some, let's say.
First thing is, it doesn't have to be only the weekend. Every single day before you go into the corporate jungle, you should do some sadhana. When you wake up in the first thing in the morning, don't look at your phone. When you wake up in the morning, don't plan anything. For the first hour, even the first 2 hours of the day, remind yourself when you wake up in the morning, I have nothing to do with this world. Remind yourself, I'm a spirit soul. I'm on a longer journey, and my mission is to get out of this world. So if you begin your day with that meditation, if you begin your day connecting to the deepest identity, then when you emerge in the corporate world, you'll be different, because you will have elevated your consciousness. And then what will happen is, while you're in your corporate day job, you will begin to see Krishna even in that situation. You will begin to find opportunities to serve Krishna even in that situation. You will begin to perceive Krishna's arrangement and Krishna's hand even in that situation. Because Krishna, this movement is the movement of Krishna consciousness. And that means in any situation you have the ability to perceive the presence of Krishna. However, it's only possible if you've elevated your consciousness. And therefore, we have to do some spiritual practice every morning. Then we'll be able to see Krishna. And definitely it has its challenges. The corporate world has its challenges. Living in family life has its challenges. Being a sannyasi also has challenges. Everything is a challenge in the material world. Or you could see that these are also things which can help me to become more intense in my spirituality. It just depends how you use things. Therefore, we have devotees in the world who are incredibly successful in their careers and are simultaneously very, very advanced devotees of Krishna. Possible. But you have to elevate your consciousness.
They don't have to be contradictory.
Remember, everything has a Krishna sambandha. It has a connection with Krishna. If Arjun could fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and be Krishna conscious, I think you can do it in the corporate world. Isn't it?
On the same question, so what advice do you have for someone who is not yet mature on that path? So how do you deal with those situations when in the moment something happens? So should one suppress their emotions, or how do you channelize, if not suppress, for someone who is not mature?
See, when you have a strong emotion, there are two extremes. Either you lock it up or you let it loose. These are both bad. If you suppress your emotions, not good, because it will come out in a worse way. And if you simply express your emotions indiscriminately, not good. You'll do something you regret. Therefore, don't go to extremes. When you have heavy emotions, be patient and then process those emotions by thinking about it, by sharing it with, talking with devotees about it, trying to see your emotions through a deeper lens. Process your emotions. Don't go to either extreme of suppressing your emotions or letting your emotions loose. Digest your emotions. See your emotions through a higher lens. Therefore, we have to learn the art of not reacting in the moment. We're too reactive. It's a problem. Then we do things, say things, and make decisions we regret. Therefore, you have to manage your, this is what we call EQ, emotional quotient. Everyone knows IQ. But later on they realize, what's the point of having so much intelligence if you don't have EQ? EQ means the ability to control your emotions and not react. We have to learn to do this. Through knowledge, through association, through meditation, like this.
If you don't, of course, if you don't react in that moment, then you leave the situation and you move away from it. So basically what you are saying is, suppression means that I'm not even talking about it to anybody, but maybe journal it or speak to someone whom you confide in. Is that the right interpretation?
Yeah, and there are some things, of course, that you have to act on in the moment. Like, for example, if you're going on the road and there's a car coming at 100 miles per hour and you feel a sudden emotional rush of fear, and then you say, no, but the Swami said don't act on your emotions. You have to process it. I'll journal it tonight and then see what I feel like. I mean, you know, it might be pretty finito, right, at that point. So there are some things obviously you have to act on. But there are many things that you don't have to do anything in that moment. When you're feeling angry at someone, write an email to them. But don't send it. You have to get that part of it. Write down all of your feelings and just put it in the draft. And then the next day come back and look at it, and I can guarantee you 95% of the time you'll say, it's okay, I don't need to send it. Because we're too emotional. We are like emotional roller coaster. So therefore we have the gift of the gap. Don't react.
What about the emotion of frustration when you want someone, something from someone, and they are not responding the way because there's a time constraint, the urgency, and you feel frustrated, right? You want it done, but you can't, and you are blocked. So how do you deal with those kind of situations? Because frustration is another emotion that shows up in our daily lives.
Yeah, because we allow our well-being and our sense of happiness in life to be determined by things outside of our control. Why do we do that? We perpetually do this in life. We attach our sense of happiness to things outside of our control. I want people to be like this, I want situations to be like this, I want the weather to be like this, I want to get this, but these things are all out of your control. Gradually, what you realize in Krishna consciousness, there's only one thing in your control. And that's your effort and your endeavor. And when you go to bed at night, if you can close your eyes and say, Krishna, I did my best, you're successful. That's real happiness. Because you know nothing else is in my control.
So in summary, if you are like I'm speaking from a crisis situation, let's say a medical situation, and your life depends upon the actions of someone else, right? Because I personally experience those situations, that's why I'm asking this question. So in those situations, you try your best. The summary is that you try your best, whatever endeavors and efforts you put, and then you surrender to Krishna.
Of course, what more can you do?
That's
There's nothing more you can do, right? Once you've done everything in your power, then you have to accept there are now powers beyond me, and whatever Krishna arranges, that's surrender. It's hard, but it's actually very liberating. Alright? Okay, I see many more hands, but I don't know, like time. We should. Okay.
Maharaj, Mataji was asking about the karma, right? When it comes to the first canto, 17th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Maharaj Parikshit goes and asks the bull, Apratishta Nirdeshya, give the statement of acquisition, I'll kill this Kali right now. Then the bull answers, who is the source of my misery? Is it not me? Or is it him? You are a well-known person, you decide who is the source of misery. Then on that sloka, Prabhupada writes, a person who is giving the complaint against the misdoer is
That's
also
the same
equally
reaction.
responsible for that
Yes.
sin. So, but when it comes to the previous chapters, son of Drona punished. It's written like due to the abominable act committed by Ashwadhama, he is sure to be killed. It is the heinous act committed by Ashwadhama. We are blaming him, right? Is it not the sons of Pandavas equally responsible for death? So, is it right to blame someone if that is the karmic philosophy where person who is punishing and person who is suffering are both equally responsible?
No. When Parikshit is saying, or when the Buddha is saying this, that if you identify the cause of your karma, or the messenger of your karma, as the cause of your karma, then you get the same reaction as them. You have to understand what this means. Say, for example, you come and you slap me. No, I'm just giving examples. You can do more if you want. Now, if I think that you are the cause of my suffering, then it means I am in as much illusion as you. But if I understand you're the messenger of my karma, in other words, I did something and my reaction was simply delivered by you, then I'm in knowledge. So therefore, the bull says, if you identify the perpetrator of your karma as the cause of your karma, then you are also in illusion. And that's what we do all the time. We look around at people and we think they are the cause of our suffering. No, you are the cause of your suffering. If tomorrow the postman comes and he gives you a speeding fine, you don't run out of the door and start chasing the postman. Why did you give me a speeding fine? No, he's just the postman only. So we look around and we think everyone is the cause of our suffering. No, they are just the messenger. You did the crime, you do the time. That's the point that's being made.
Yeah, that's what is my question. Now when it comes to example, Pandavas being suffered from the Kauravas, is it like
The Pandavas are punishing the Kauravas not because they see the Kauravas as the cause of their unhappiness. They're punishing the Kauravas because they are adharmic and their duty as Kshatriyas is to fight adharma. So they're not fighting because they think, my God, they did this, they tried to kill us, they took our disrobe. They're not doing it for... They're doing it because they are Kshatriya. Kshatriya means you have to Dharma sanstha, panarthaya. You have to establish Dharma. Therefore they're fighting. For themselves, they have no problem. They have no problem. But they have a duty. Why did Arjun wanted to walk away from the battlefield? He was ready. There's no vendetta against anyone. He was ready to go to the forest. Krishna had to convince him, no, do your dharma, fight them. He has no bitterness, no revenge. He's not seeing that they, Forget that. I mean, Arjun is ready to have Dhritarashtra in the palace after the whole thing. After the whole Kurukshetra war, he's maintaining Dhritarashtra only. How can he be in a mood of revenge against him? Even though he's the one that orchestrated everything. Complete forgiveness. But for the purpose of Dharma, I'll fight them. Does it make sense? Alright everyone, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Krishna Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.